Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Tech Motoring. On today's episode we're going to be talking about my 12-month experience, one full year already with the 2022 Tesla Model 3 Performance. We'll talk about things I like about it, the things I really don't like about it, and we're going to talk about overall, do I like the car, is it worth it, is it something I would do again? So make sure you stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. So I cannot believe it's already been a year since I've gotten the Tesla Model 3 Performance. Actually, it's 13 months. I'm actually running this video a little late. Excuse the wind out here. We're actually up on the top of a parking garage here in beautiful Myrtle Beach, though it's not much of a good sight out here, but we're really close to the beach, which is why we're having a lot of wind right now. But anyway, I wanted to take a few minutes here to talk about my experience having the Tesla Model 3 Performance for 1 year. For those of you who follow the channel, you know that this is actually my first Tesla vehicle that we bought. It's our third EV that we've purchased, and we wanted to get something that was a little bit different than, just the other stuff that was on the road. And so I ended up wanting to look into getting a Tesla because, once again, for those of you who follow the channel, we've had the 2017 Hyundai Ioniq EV, which was one of a short-range EV that we started out with. It was actually my wife's car, who's behind the camera right now. I'd like to thank her for filming today and all the other support that she does for the channel. And then 2 years ago, video coming soon, I picked up a Ford Mustang Mach-E, which ended up being my daily driver for a while. And then last winter, probably November, I started looking around for a Tesla. And then I decided that we were going to buy just like a standard range rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3. That was kind of what we were looking for. We were playing with some numbers. At the end of 2022, which is when we were looking, the prices of cars were outrageous. Used cars were super expensive. New cars were, just as expensive. People were marking up stuff left and right. It was kind of crazy at the time. And we were looking at buying a Tesla and just kind of throwing some numbers out there and seeing if we wanted to do it or not. So originally we were looking for a Model 3 standard range rear-wheel drive, nothing special, and we ended up we ended up putting in a trade-in offer to Tesla on the Corvette. And that's what got the ball rolling. And then they started calling me because of that. Once you put in that trade, they're like, oh yeah, we got your phone number now, so we're gonna just bother you. And they were really cool about it. They would just call me and say, hey, are you interested in what Tesla? What are you looking for? This is what we're offering. Are you looking to lease or buy? Whatever, the typical spiel. And I kind of told them, not right now, I'm not really interested. Then it was probably a few weeks later that I get a call from the same person again. And they said, hey, listen, we're doing this special deal here. It's December of 2022. We're doing this special deal. You'll get a discount on the car. And because at the time, they didn't qualify for the federal tax rebate because Tesla had already ran out of their 200,000 limit or whatever it was at the time. And so we were sitting there thinking, and so she called me up and she said, okay, hey, we're getting these deals on these new cars. We'll give you some money off of a new car. And I said, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. And so then I just started looking at some cars in inventory, and then I found this car, which was the 2022 Tesla Model 3 Performance. And this was actually the demo car on the lot for Charlotte, North Carolina. So this was the demo car that they had for I think it was about 6 months. I think it was built in June or July. I can't remember. And so they were selling it off at the end of the year because they needed to, obviously get the new demo car in. And the new demo car was actually there on the lot. The 2023 Performance was on the lot when I went to go pick this up. So this was a demo car. It only had like 900 miles on it, maybe a little less than 900 miles, so really not too bad. And I thought, well, they heavily discounted this car because it was because it was a demo car. Then they were taking some extra money off of it as well. And I thought, well, that looks pretty good. But we were looking at getting a performance model. We had no reason for the all-wheel drive here in Myrtle Beach. This is January. It's 60 degrees outside right now. It's beautiful. And we didn't really have a reason to get this version. I didn't need the quick 0 to 60. I didn't need all the performance. And it was you, actually, honey, that was like, let's just go for it. and which was
Let's do
weird.
it.
I didn't think
Let's
that
just do it.
I didn't think that was going to be the response from you, and so I was like, okay. So at the time we had the Ioniq and the Mach-E and the Corvette,
Yep.
and we're going to get rid of the Ioniq because
Yeah.
used car prices were so ridiculous. I was able to make a profit on the Ioniq after owning it for 2 years. And so I went ahead and ran that through. Carvana was the one that ultimately took the Ioniq, made a few grand on that over the course of 2 years of owning it and road tripping that and driving that a lot. And so then we traded that in, got this, ordered this, and picked it up about a week later. And then that's the story for how we got this car, which is kind of weird. And I don't know if I ever said this on the channel, like what the whole story was behind getting this car, but there you go. There's the story. So 1 year later, this is what we're looking at. So now we have the 2022 Tesla Model 3 Performance here, which is an amazing car. So let's talk about some of the stuff that I've gone through owning it for 12 months, technically 13 months. We've had some issues with the car. We've had some mobile technicians come to the house a few times, and we've actually brought it in for service once when we were out in Colorado. We're gonna take a break because that Jeep just turned on.
Yeah.
All right, so we've had a few issues with the car over the course of that time. And really, honestly, I thought that for the last couple of years I'd be listening to people with Teslas and making a big deal about them and saying, oh, well, body panel gaps and this and that. And I was like, I think people are just nitpicking really too much. But actually now owning the car for a year, I can actually see that there are some really weird issues with these cars. They are not so much the gaps. Actually, the panel gaps are actually pretty good on this particular car. There's a couple things that I'll show you, I'll point out to you. But honestly, the car was done pretty well. And maybe that was because it was a demo car, I don't know. But there were a few issues with the car that we've had over the course of our 1 year of owning the car. So let's kind of go over everything. We have almost 15,000 miles on this car now. Obviously, 20-inch wheels, the Uber turbine wheels on it, so really good performance. It's still got the factory tires on it. We haven't done anything with those yet, but maybe next year we're going to start looking into new tires for the car, depending on how they wear. We did get the tires rotated back in May when we brought it in for service out in Colorado, so we brought it into the Colorado Springs Service Center. Tires rotated, and we also did get the window fixed, which I'll talk about that in a second. So let's just talk about a couple things we've done to the car so far. Other than a couple knick-knack upgrades and stuff, we've got the windows tinted, full ceramic tint all around the vehicle. So this is nice and blacked out and legal for this state, which is cool. So we got windows tinted done to the car. A couple things that we did for the interior of the car. Obviously, I did plenty of reviews on the car, floor mats, so on and so forth. Yeah, so we did the tint on the car, and that was pretty much really all we did on the car, other than a couple of product things here that I've done reviews for. So nothing really too special there. But yeah, let's go around a couple of things I've noticed on the car since we've gotten it. So let's talk about the service appointments that we've had to do with it. The first service appointment we had was actually for the wind noise. So I was getting some really bad wind noise through this part of the driver window. So right up here towards the top, we were getting some really bad wind noise in this window when driving. As soon as you hit maybe 45, 50 miles per hour, you would get really bad wind noise through that. And the faster you drove, the worse it got. And also, the colder it got, the worse it got, because the seals would shrink and then you would allow more air through. I had service come out to the house twice to try to fix it. They couldn't fix it. It was pretty much unfixable by service. They said they had to bring it in. The closest service center to us is Charlotte, North Carolina, which is over 3 hours away, and it's not exactly, it's a whole day to go out there and come back, basically. So I didn't want to bring it in there. We just so happened to be taking a trip out to Colorado Springs back in May, and that's when I decided to get the window noise fixed. And the first time I dropped it off, they actually didn't fix the issue. It was a little bit better, but it wasn't great. I brought it back to them at the same moment. I basically just dropped the car back off. And they, what they basically did, as far as my understanding, is they actually just had to put something behind this molding here to force more of this molding to come out against the window. That is my understanding of how they fixed that issue in this car, was just basically applying more pressure against this glass, which makes...
Keep the seal tight?
Yes, to keep the seal tight against the glass. And that's pretty much what they had described to me as the fix for this. And supposedly this was a very known, widely known issue with this car, so it wasn't a surprise for them. They kind of already knew how to take care of it. So we did get that fixed. We got that situated. Another thing that we had go wrong with the car, so this car actually came with a mobile connector, which is weird because they started discontinuing the mobile connector in 2022. Well, this car actually came with one. It's actually on the window sticker that it came with a mobile connector. And the mobile connector actually started acting up on us after, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months. Like you would plug it into the port, you'd plug it in, and then you can literally just like tap the cable, and all of a sudden it would just kill the charging. This would turn red and it would give you an error and everything. So the mobile connector started acting up, and I called into Tesla, put another support ticket in for that, and they basically were just like, okay, we're gonna run somebody out with a new cable. They gave me a brand new cable for the car, which was really cool because it's, a $220 cable or whatever it is. So I got a new mobile connector for the car under warranty, which was nice. And then one of the things that we had go wrong with the car was the taillight. So this taillight over here, which once again was a very widely known issue with this car, this taillight started getting water in it, and it was really bad. You could see it like starting to build up on the bottom of the taillight, and there was just plenty of moisture inside the taillight as well. This is a pretty funny story. Mobile service came out to fix it. Well, she came out and she went to go replace the lens. The lens that she replaced it with, which she claims is brand new in the box, had a defect. And like when you would turn the turn signal on or something, it would just like flash. Like it was causing the third brake light to flash rapidly. And so it was a very weird issue that she was getting. So she had to actually go back out to her warehouse or wherever it is, get a new taillight, bring it over and fix it. So she had to actually kind of replace this taillight twice in a day. In the process, she actually took some paint off. I don't know if you could get close, but she actually took some paint off right there on the body of the car. You can maybe see there's a little bit of an imperfection in the paint. So she ended up taking some paint off of the car while replacing the taillight, which was really kind of a bummer. But she was really cool about it, and she actually gave me a touch-up paint bottle. So now I have a bottle of this touch-up paint, which this is the silver, what do they call this? The midnight silver metallic or something. I can't remember the name. So this is that gray color. So this was actually an optional color when I bought the car. It then became the free color shortly after I had bought this car. So this was actually a $1,000 option. I believe it was a $1,000 option when this car was built. Now this is the free color. So now this is the color everybody has. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Couple other things, a little nitpicks on the car that I have. The carbon fiber spoiler, and this could be partially my fault for not taking better care of it, but it's starting to lose its carbon fiber to it, and it's just like delaminating, and it's the whole part all the way down the trim. You can see that it's starting to pull apart on the car. So I've been told, a couple people have said that this is actually warrantyable. So I might actually reach out to Tesla and get this warranted. Now, a couple people complain about the fit of this, where it just kind of like falls off the end of the car here. But as you can see, this one's actually, it's a little loose on the ends, I'm not gonna lie. But honestly, it's pretty good. If you go down to this side, this one's a little bit worse, I believe. You can see this just a little bit. It's like the double-sided tape that just never, ever grasps onto the car very well. So you do get this little bit of a movement in the spoiler there. So, and then one more thing I've noticed about the car since I got the car, this weirdness with the front fender, and you can see how it doesn't line up properly, the front bumper to the front fender. The bumper kind of sticks out a little bit. You could probably get a better view from the front there. You could see that the alignment is just not right.
Yeah,
so it's almost as if somebody had accidentally pulled on this bumper one day and it's pulled it out of alignment. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that, but it's not really enough to bother me. So I'm not really worried about getting it fixed, and for that matter, it's not too crazy. So other than that, I mean, the car has actually been really good. The, if we want to get into like panel gaps and stuff, like the glass on the roof doesn't line up perfectly. Like there's a bigger gap here on the back window than there is on the front half of the roof. Wait for the sirens to go by here. Every time we do a video in public, even at home, there's sirens in the background. Every time, it always happens.
There they go.
Crazy. Well, what else? What else? Can you think of anything else that we've had issues with the car, or anything that we can bring up about our experience over 1 year?
Issues, pretty much everything that you had mentioned. The little bit of the gaps, things not lining up exactly right, and the light filling up with water and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been really good.
Yeah.
I really like this car. And
Do you want to talk in the microphone?
doesn't matter. I can if you want me to.
Here. I'm gonna film you. This is a change for once. A new host to Tech Motoring. Yeah. So what's your overall impressions of the Model 3 after 12 months of ownership?
I'm really impressed with it. I like the way it drives. It's comfortable. The seats are really comfortable. The way it looks is really nice. We get a lot of people, driving by looking at the car, trying to see what it is, and it's a Tesla. And charging wise, it's just you plug in and charge. Like, we have very minimal issues with the car, so I like it. I don't mind it. I like riding in it. The ride out to Colorado was nice, and my uncle was impressed with it.
Yeah, I have to agree with all those remarks, because it's true. I mean, overall, other than those couple of things that we've had issues with that were just warranty fixed. Let me fix my microphone here real quick. So, yeah, I mean, other than those few issues with, warranty services, the car has been solid. I mean, we haven't had any, hiccups with it, like the traveling, the road tripping with it. I'm gonna try to keep the wind to my back here. The road tripping with it has been solid. I mean, obviously the Tesla Supercharger network is there's no comparison to it right now. I mean, that's the thing, which is why NACS is being opened up to other car makers, which we'll have access to in the Mach-E, hopefully next month in February, according to those rumors. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly cannot think of any major issues with this car that would drive me to the point where I'd be like, I don't want this car anymore, I want to sell it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and you make some good points too about the seats. The seats are comfortable, like the car is comfortable. Honestly, the ride is the only thing of this car that makes it sort of difficult to road trip. That's
What do you mean?
just because the suspension's a little rougher, because it's the performance model. The wheels are a little bit bigger, so you don't have as much cushion in the tires. That's the only thing that makes this car a little bit less desirable to road trip. Like, I would rather take the Mach-E on a long road trip, but the charging network just doesn't make it worth its while. We did a road trip recently in the Mach-E from here in Myrtle Beach to New Jersey, and that video will be coming out on the channel soon, and you'll see exactly why this is so much more superior than that. And so that's why, NACS is becoming a thing. The J3400 standard is what they're calling it now from the SAE. That's their term for it. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I got to say that, I don't really have any major issues with this car whatsoever. The paint's pretty good. I got to do a better job of keeping it, in good shape, but I mean, I really don't have any issues with it. So, a couple of nice features with this car. It's got the power lift trunk, which is really nice. The cargo space in it is pretty good as well. I mean, you have the nice sub frunk as well, which gives you plenty of storage. I mean, it's crazy how much we loaded this car up when we took our trip to Colorado. I mean, we loaded this car up, and that was huge, because like, you need a lot of space when you're going on a long road trip for 10 days or something. And we were able to load up this car, the frunk, the trunk, the sub trunk, like everything was loaded up really good. And yeah, I mean, it was comfortable having all that extra space too. So, I mean, overall, I got to say that I really don't mind this car at all. And of course, road tripping, it was really cool if you have, this little thing right here, which is our CCS to our Tesla adapter. So this makes things so much easier, because then we can just roll up to a Electrify America station, EVgo, whatever CCS station we want, and then we could charge this car there too. So we're not even just tied to the supercharger network, but we also have the public CCS network as well, which is amazing. Really, really amazing to know that you have that in your back pocket if you need it. So, and those adapters are cheap. That's a Tesla one. It's like 175 bucks. I highly recommend if you have a Tesla and you ever need to, you know, charge your car in a place other than a Tesla supercharger, it's worth its weight in gold just because of what that opens up for you. When we were in Colorado Springs, there was an Electrify America in a very conveniently located place for us to charge, and that's where we went to go charge. It made more sense for us to do that than for us to go to the supercharger, which was in a paid parking garage, which didn't really make sense to us. A paid parking garage to go charge our car. So we just went to the Electrify America at Walmart. Made things a lot easier. So yeah, I think at this point, I think we should just jump into the car. We'll do some reviews of the driving performance and stuff, even though I'm not like really big on like tracking this car or racing it or anything like that. I do want to kind of go over some of the performance features of the car and kind of discuss some of that stuff. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump in the car and then we'll kind of talk about that. So yeah, so inside the Tesla Model 3, I realized we didn't talk about the interior at all. But yeah, the seats, once again, are extremely comfortable in this car. We went on that long road trip to Colorado. Never once did I feel even slightly uncomfortable in these seats. The Mach-E we took up to New Jersey this past month in December, and I was starting to feel it in that car after 400 or 500 miles. I was starting to feel the seats, and I was like, ooh, you know, that's a little rough. The Ioniq was the same way when we drove that. It was a little bit on the rough side, driving long distances like that. And that was with us getting in and out of the car every like 100 miles. So yeah, so the Mach-E was comfortable, but it did have a little bit different seat comfortability level versus this. This just feels like they have really good seats, really comfortable. Like Tesla just really did a good job of getting that part of this car done. Obviously the back seats are, you know, pretty pristine because we've hardly ever used them in this car because it's just the two of us, and you know, when we have friends or family over, then you know, maybe we put some people in the back, but other than that, I mean, the car's used for my daily commute back and forth to work. It's really not anything that we you know, we road trip all the time. We just had a couple of road trips in this car recently, and yeah, so I mean, I love the little storage areas in this car. You know, you have your storage cubbies down here, your cup holders, like you got your wireless charging area, which is really nice. Obviously the screen is, you know, you can't compare that to anything as well, because the software that Tesla puts into their vehicle is just outstanding. Really, really good. They're constantly updating it. We just got the holiday update last month, which was really cool to see. You know, Tesla does that every year, so everybody looks forward to the holiday update. You know, just the little things like that. The roof, obviously, really, really nice glass roof all the way back. This is also, I also got this ceramic tinted, so this way we don't have any of that, you know, blaring sun down into the car in the middle of summertime, because it gets hot here in the summer. So it's nice to have that little extra protection and a little better efficiency as well. So yeah, so I mean, overall the interior is really nice. I still have this cover on the steering wheel. I don't know.
I'm surprised you still have it.
I honestly don't know why I still have this on here. I would rather hold the steering wheel, but at the same time, I keep telling myself that this is protecting the steering wheel, like the leather of the steering wheel. I know it's not leather, but like I keep telling myself it's a long term. I don't know. Anyway. So, but yeah, overall, I gotta say, I love the car. And once again, this is a 2022, so we do have the parking sensors on it, which I believe still work. As far as I could tell, to the best of my knowledge, I've been meaning to test it to see if the parking sensors actually are still functioning, because some people are claiming that they're disabling them on the older models to use the camera vision based software versus the actual ultrasonic sensors on the bumpers. But as far as I could tell, mine are still working. But I could probably do a better test to verify that. But yep, not much to go over with the screen, because you kind of know everything. If you are a Tesla owner, you know everything about this, what's on the screen, what's given to you. Well, the Teslas are pretty much the same there. But anyway, let's go ahead, throw this into drive. Once again, love the fact that they put the drive reverse neutral gear selector on the stock. I think that's a fantastic idea. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, they're not doing it anymore, which, yeah, it's kind of weird. I still believe the stocks make sense. No, they're doing the buttons on the wheel. So, like, your turn signal is now buttons on the wheel.
Oh, I'm not going to like that.
No, so the new Teslas are all doing that because they want to get rid of the stalks for simplicity or whatever.
No.
And so, yeah, instead of having a stalk for your reverse neutral drive,
that's so much easier. The stalk.
right, they give you a thing on the screen.
Okay.
And then you like swipe up and down on like the corner of the screen, on the side of the screen to change your. Yeah, but
no.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the yoke. It was very much a you either hate it or love it kind of thing. And I think a lot of people are not liking the turn signals on the wheel, whereas some people were sold on the yoke. Not many people are sold on the turn signals on the wheel. Because the thing is, like, people make the claim that, like, well, what happens if you're like this in a turn?
Yeah.
And you want to put your turn signal on? Well, now you have to reach down here on the wheel to hit the button for a turn signal. It doesn't make much sense.
No, it doesn't.
As far as that goes. But anyway, let's go ahead and take this for a quick drive. We're just going to do some slaloms here through the parking garage around these speed bumps. And, I mean, and this kind of gives you an idea, like, the dynamic control of the suspension in this car. It's so well done from a suspension standpoint. Like, it is so stiff and just set to the ground. And, you know, this is coming from somebody I used to own a Corvette, and it was a 2007 Corvette, in case anybody's curious. I used to have a Corvette, and I used to drive that thing, and I used to absolutely love that car. And this car, I feel like, is probably close to the same performance level when it comes to handling performance. Like, it is very close. If the Corvette ekes it out ever so slightly, I would be surprised. But really, this car is just absolutely gorgeous. There was an ultrasonic sensor just beeped because of the speed bump. But yeah, so like, this car really does perform amazing. And of course, this being all-wheel drive, it just makes it, you know, that much better. Let's see if we get around these people here that can't figure out their mind right now. All right, we'll swing around them. And yeah, but obviously going through a parking garage, regenerative braking, everybody knows about that. One pedal driving is fantastic in this car. It's designed very well, so it comes to almost a complete stop, and then it grabs the friction brakes at the very end, so you don't really notice the transition between the regen and the friction brakes. In the Mach-E, you absolutely feel the difference between the transitions, and it's really kind of disturbing sometimes, like how it grabs brakes while you're still kind of rolling a little bit, and it gets. And they've tuned it a little bit better since I first got the car, but it's still a little bit rougher than this, for instance. So coming out of the parking garage here, we'll probably hear the ultrasonic sensors beep as we go out here. Yep, there we go. See, it's yelling at us because of the walls here. All right, let's get onto the road here. And very, very quiet at slow speeds, which is really nice. That's one of my favorite parts of this car, is how quiet it actually is. Once you get up into higher speeds, you really do start getting that wind noise. Now, this is the double pane glass on the driver passenger front windows, not the rear windows. Now, the new Model 3 Highland that's coming out is supposed to have, I think, double pane on all four windows. Plus, they have this new acoustic glass in the front that's supposed to help with sound when you're driving at high speeds. At high speeds, you really do hear wind noise, and you do hear tire noise quite a bit in this car.
Yeah, the tire noise.
The tire noise is quite abrupt because of the type of tire it is.
Yeah.
But when you want to get on it, I mean, it's just so mind-bending how it's just so much performance. Like, I like, once again, I drove a Corvette. The 0 to 60 of the Corvette was actually not as good as this car. And but I mean, even so, I mean, it feels like the cars are like night and day difference when it comes to that instant performance. No transmission. You know, you don't get a delay. Obviously, my Corvette was a stick, so you felt that delay between gears. But just so much more compliance when it comes to pushing down the pedal and getting a response. Ooh, really nice Model S over there. pulling through the light. Nice color too. I like that white. I like the white on the Model S. I don't know why. I don't like the white on the Model 3, but the Model S, it looks really good. But yeah, I mean, the performance on this car is just outstanding. Like, it really is. Like, and I know a lot of people say, like, the Model 3 is your best bang for your buck when it comes to performance and what you get with it. And I actually absolutely believe that. I mean, now the price of this car is so much cheaper than when I bought it, which is really upsetting. But, like... yeah, it's okay. I keep telling myself it's okay. But that's the thing, is like, it's still for what I paid for it. You know, even when this car was $60,000, like, the performance you get is a $70,000 or $80,000 car's worth of performance. Now it's a little bit different with certain EVs on the road. You're getting a lot more bang for your buck when it comes to EVs, because people are easily putting 600 or 700 horsepower in an EV nowadays. It's just crazy how much power you can get. But I just love how healthy the motors sound in this as well. We'll get on it in a second here. We'll see if we can hear the motors. But I love the sound when you get on it. You just hear the motors spool up like that. I got stuff rolling around the car. It was really bad. But just hearing that, I mean, just, it's so nice. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I just love the sound that it makes to go from, you know, nothing to a quite high speed in such a short amount of time. I just absolutely love listening to the motors. I mean, I know a lot of people are in electric cars for, like, the silent part aspect of it. But honestly, like, the sound of having those electric motors, like, wind up like that is really kind of exhilarating at the same time. So it's not the same as a you know, American V8 muscle car when hearing that exhaust and rumbling. Like, that's a completely different thing. Like, you can't compare the two. But, like, this, from an electric vehicle standpoint, just sounds really, really good. So I really do like that part. But I mean, other than that, I'm struggling to think about what else I want to talk about with this car. I mean, it really is a good car. I got a lot of rattles in the interior that are kind of annoying, that I'm sort of like, don't want to bother with, because they're not bad, especially when the car, like if I'm backing into the driveway, you could feel the car kind of shift as it goes up the little edge of the driveway, and you hear like this as it's going up, because there's things like twisting and just it's making this sound, and it's like, you know, I wish I didn't have to have those kinds of sounds. But the thing is, I'll never get those fixed, because I'll probably have to bring it in to get them fixed to the service center. And I'll never go to the service center because it's 3.5 hours away. And so I don't know what I want to do about that yet, but there's a couple little creaks that I wouldn't mind getting fixed. Obviously, there's some things rolling around that I need to also not have rolling around my interior. But yeah, I mean, other than that, this is a fantastic car. It's definitely not put together as well. The Mach-E, when they put the car together, they put that car together like Ford, you know, really well. Everything's just, you know, bolted together good. Everything's tight. The interior pieces are solid. There's no creaks. There's no rattles. Like, I think I brought it in for one plastic piece under the hood, which turned into a huge debacle with that. But I brought it in to get that replaced because they never properly snapped down that plastic piece in the Mach-E. But other than that, that car is still quiet. It's silent. It's just no creaks, no rattles, no nothing when you drive. This car, not the same. Yeah. Definitely Tesla quality there. But I can see how some people are willing to overlook that. There goes that thing again. But here, let's just do a quick pull.
Whoa!
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that is the experience that everybody gets.
Ready for that.
I know. Well, I did warn you. But that's the experience that everybody wants. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's what you buy when you buy this car. You're not buying it for being luxury. You're not buying it for being like, you know, yeah, you would love the car to be put together well, but that's not really what you're buying when you get the Model 3 Performance. Like, you have to expect that there's going to be some weirdness with the car, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people are expecting the cars to have these problems, and it really shouldn't be that way. Like, the cars should be put together well from the moment they're built, and that's it. But I mean, I've had brand new cars with issues. I had my old Mazda had a bunch of rattles in it when I got it. I had to bring that in constantly for service because they couldn't find out where the rattles were coming from. It was coming from the gauge cluster. I ended up finding out that the gauge cluster was rattling, and it took them like 3 months to figure it out. I had to keep bringing it back in. But so like, it's not unknown for other car companies to have these same issues, but Tesla is just more prevalent in that space, I think, and that's why we're getting these issues with the rattling in the interior and the build quality, and things are not lining up perfectly. But I mean, honestly, this car was actually put together pretty well, and I'm not really going to complain too much about that. But when it comes to putting down the pedal to the floor, you kind of forget everything else that is a problem in this car. You kind of just want to just drive it, just like this. Just amazing. And I've blown away so many people with this car. My brother, the day I got the car, my brother got in it and started driving the absolute crap out of it, and just was blown away by the performance of this car and just how simple it is to make it do that. You know, that was crazy. And even I've had other people in the car too, and I just put it to the floor, and they're just like just faces sucked back into the seat, and like just can't believe the performance you get out of this car. And so that's the one thing that keeps selling me on this car. Is every time I worry about there's a rattle here or a rattle there, I just put it to the floor and just forget that all that stuff even exists. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong to think that way, but for a daily driver, this car's been great. It's got decent range. You know, EPA is a little over 300 miles of range. We all know that that's slightly exaggerated on the Teslas, but I mean, overall, I got to say that the range has been perfectly fine. Even when we road trip, you're going, 180, 200 miles maybe at 70 miles an hour, and then you're stopping, after 3 hours anyway of driving. So really not too bad. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else I really want to talk about with the car. I kind of feel like we've hit all the points. Do you have anything else you want to bring up, or any good points you want to make?
I think I agree with you. You can kind of ignore the creaks and rattles and stuff when it comes to just putting your pedal down and just go. It just flies. Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah. I've never owned a car that made me have that feeling, like driving it, like just that instant power. I mean, like the Corvette was like powerful, but it wasn't like this. Mm-hmm. Like, this is just like another level of performance, in my opinion, of course, but yeah, just really cool.
No, I like this car.
Yeah.
I think it was a good choice, a good decision, a good pick, and we've impressed a lot of people with the car.
Yep.
So.
And I mean, I think we've convinced a few people that electric is the next vehicle for them.
Yes.
My brother possibly was one of those people. Mm-hmm. He picked up his Chevy Bolt a few months ago, and he absolutely loves it. And, he doesn't need the performance, the craziness of this, but he just wanted something that was a daily driver, maintenance-free, something that he can just drive to work back and forth at, for minimal cost. And benefit from it, and that's kind of his thing, and so it makes sense for him in that sense. But I think we've sold a few other people on going electric. I think maybe we're going to see, maybe your parents are going to look into maybe getting an electric car. Their lease is coming up soon, so maybe this is the next choice for them. And I told them, like, listen, if you're going to road trip the car, just get a Tesla. Like, just get a Tesla. Like, I know NACS is opening for a lot of companies in the future, but I wouldn't recommend somebody who's new to electric cars to get into a car that can charge at a supercharger, but you need an adapter, because then you're complicating the whole thing anyway. You're already making it more complicated. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of like going to a supercharger, plugging the car in, and then walking away for 15 or 20 minutes and coming back and you're ready to go, that's what sells people. If you could charge at a supercharger with any other car, you still have to do extra steps right now. Open up an app, activate the charger, blah, 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 plug the car in if you have an adapter because you have a CCS car, you know, like there's still going to be extra steps involved. And I don't recommend that for people who are just getting into EVs for the first time. So you know, if you're watching this video for some reason you don't have an EV and you're looking to buy an EV, and maybe you've came across my experience of owning this car for 12 months, my suggestion right now in 2024 is buy a Tesla if you're going to road trip the car. If you are okay with buying a CCS car right now, but you are planning on using it with a supercharger, just understand you're going to have to jump through a couple hoops to make it happen. You're going to have an adapter. You're going to have to activate through an app, whether it's the Tesla app or your respective car company's app. That's all going to eventually go away. At least I hope so. But this is the first big step, is getting everybody to NACS and the supercharger network. And then as the other networks start to adapt the NACS plug, you'll start going to Electrify America, or you'll start going to EVgo or Charge Points, and they're going to have the NACS plug. So it'll make it one more step easier moving forward. And then one day, hopefully, we all get to this plug-and-play situation where no matter where you are, you plug the car in, and it just charges. Like, that's ultimately going to be seamless, right? And so I think that's what we need to find in the next, I'm thinking 5 to 10 years, everybody's going to be, you pull up, you plug it in, you're done. But I think it's going to take a while. Plus, there's still going to be, you know, older cars out there, you know, like our Mach-E, we're going to probably hold on to for a while. That's going to have CCS. We're going to get an adapter for it. We're going to use it on the network, but we're very comfortable doing that. Whereas a lot of people right now, if you have like a Mach-E and your CCS and you don't really road trip it, but eventually you're going to want to road trip it, there's going to be a lot of confusion as to, well, where do I go? How long do I charge for? Does it have the proper port? Do I need an adapter? That's going to be a lot of conversation that people are going to have to, you know, fight through. And we went straight back to the Apple phone versus everybody else charging cable standard again. And hopefully this is the end of it. Hopefully we're going into, you know, NACS for all and just seamless integration across all the providers, all the charge point providers out there. Hopefully we'll just see that seamless integration. Autopilot. I never talked about Autopilot. Autopilot's fantastic. Great lane centering. Definitely have to, you know, obviously it's not a self-driving, even full self-driving is not self-driving, but you definitely have to pay attention. You definitely have to make sure that you're doing what you should be doing when you're driving, even in autopilot. It's not going to be perfect. It never is, and it never will be, most likely. And so, but autopilot is absolutely amazing. Like, you know, take out all the bad stuff you hear about autopilot. You know, autopilot is fantastic. It works amazing. And I absolutely think that it's probably the best ADAS system on the market. And, you know, we have the Mach-E with the Blue Cruise and the Copilot 360 Blue Cruise, whatever you want to call it. Then they have the Blue Cruise hands-free. And the hands-free is okay. Hopefully we're going to get the new version of Blue Cruise hands-free soon, which is supposed to improve that system significantly. But the standard lane centering in the Mach-E is like kind of weird, and I don't like it very much. It won't work on roads that are perfectly lined, like they have perfect lines on both sides, and it just refuses to activate. And then other times it will just cut off while the wheel is partially like turned. Like it'll go halfway around the turn and then it'll just stop. Like it'll just like turn off, and then all of a sudden the wheel is still sideways and you have to like pull it out of that sideways thing. I don't like it too much, and I'm hoping they kind of keep adjusting that. But yeah, autopilot's fantastic. Full self-driving will maybe get there eventually. I don't know. I don't have full self-driving. I'm not going to pay for it. It's not worth it right now. But we'll see. But I think that's about it. I hope everybody found this somewhat interesting. Once again, this is just my rambling of 12 months of owning this car, 13 technically. And just kind of my experience with the car over that course of time. I think it's a great car. It has a lot of flaws and build quality issues, but overall, I think I really enjoy the car. I love the car. I mean, I really find myself struggling to find a reason why I would want to get rid of this car.
I wouldn't want you to get rid of this car.
Right, I know you don't want me to get rid of this car, but like the Mach-E, I'm kind of like,
No, it was a Mach-E too.
I can part with the Mach-E.
Aw.
I mean, I'm not going to right now, but I'm like,
Better
I
not,
could,
it's
I
my
could,
car.
I could part with. Yeah, I know it is your car. I can part with the Mach-E. It's hard for me to part with this.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's just something about this car that just blows me away enough to want to keep it. Obviously, we want to keep a Tesla car in the family too, because we want to have the Tesla side. But I also like keeping CCS cars as well, just
Agreed.
for testing purposes, for road tripping purposes, content purposes.
All the above.
Yeah, anyway, that's about it. All right, now we're going to end the video. Sorry that we rambled on as long as we did, but thank you very much for watching. I hope you sort of enjoyed this. Just hit the like button regardless. And I really do appreciate everybody that watches the channel, that supports the channel, that listens to my unnecessary rambling about random stuff on the channel all the time. I really do appreciate the support that everybody has followed me on the channel for a while. So, and if you're new to the channel, just hit the subscribe button to help support the channel. All right, everybody. Well, we are heading off to something else right now, and we're going to shoot another video, I think. So I appreciate you watching once again, and we'll see you on the next episode. And remember, welcome to the future, and
welcome to Tech Motoring.
Hopefully you heard that. Welcome to Tech Motoring.
I cut you off.
No, you're good. All right, and we'll see you soon.